In this chapter of One Piece 1159, we're getting some massive revelations. The chapter opens with this devastating news that Shaki was kidnapped on Hachinosu and Don Marlin was killed. The person responsible for it was actually a traitor inside the Rocks Pirates named Ochoku, but nobody on Hachinosu had any clue this betrayal was coming. The news of Shaki's kidnapping spread throughout the entire world, and I'm talking about the economy literally pausing for several weeks. Gloriosa was crying with sadness and despair. Roger was so enraged he destroyed the newspaper with his bare hands while vowing revenge, and Rayleigh was extremely worried about what was happening to Shaki. From there, we jump to the flashback 38 years ago when St. Figurland Garling returned to God Valley. He meets this red-haired woman who introduces him to her twin sons, Shanks and Shamrock. Garling calls them adorable, but then he tells the woman that God Valley will disappear. Then he pulls out his sword and stabs the woman as marine battleships are arriving at the island. Garling makes it clear that he's already placed an order for her to be captured, and he declares that she will be his wife if he wins the tournament. So the Marines start blocking all the exits to prevent civilians from escaping. Among those Marines is a very young Monkey D. Dragon, and the chapter specifically labels him as future leader of the Revolutionary Army, father of Luffy. Dragon is using tranquilizer shots instead of killing people because he doesn't want blood on his hands. He asks his superior what the purpose of this mission even is, but he gets shut down immediately for questioning orders. You can already see the seeds of his future rebellion against the marine system. Meanwhile, there's a slave ship heading to God Valley with Ginny leaking information about tournament prizes to the outside world. Ivankov is absolutely furious that the other slaves have lost their fighting spirit, and Kuma is listening quietly with a small smile because at least some people still have that spark of resistance. At the same time, a young Morgan shows up at the Cipher Pol Information Department with what he calls incredible information. He tries to get them to pay him to bury the story, but when they threaten to erase him instead, he decides to leak everything to Hachinosu. This is literally the birth of the world's greatest newsbird and his determination to spread the truth. Pirates from all over the world start heading to God Valley once they hear Shaki is the tournament's top prize. Big Mom is eyeing devil fruits as prizes for her children and tells Kaido to go grab something interesting. We see legendary figures like Rox, Roger, and even Garp all setting course for this island. On the way to God Valley, Rox gets blocked by Harold's ship under world government orders, but Rox pulls him aside for a private conversation. This is where we get the massive revelation that completely changes everything we thought we knew about Rox. Rox drops this bombshell. There's a hidden part of his name. His real identity is Davy D. Zebek, and he's a member of the secret Davy clan that's been hunted by the world government. This clan is descended from the legendary pirate Davy D. Jones, and they've barely survived in the underworld. Here's what makes this even more emotional, though. Rox isn't just going to God Valley to save Shaki like he told his crew. He sent his wife and child ahead to his homeland of God Valley to hide with the Davy clan for safety. His real mission is to save his own family before this native hunting competition destroys the island. Harold refuses to join Rox, but after hearing this truth about why he's going, Harold deliberately throws their fight to let Rox pass. This shows the respect and friendship between these two men, even while a world government ship is watching nearby to make sure Harold plays his assigned role. The God Valley tournament begins, and it's absolutely horrifying. The Master of Ceremonies introduces rare devil fruits as prizes, including ones we saw teased in Kuma's flashback. Then they bring out Shaki as the main event. She's dressed in a Kuja costume and looks healthy because they've been taking care of her since her capture. But here's the sick part. The winner gets to decide whether Shaki becomes their wife or their slave. The Tenryubito in the audience are going absolutely wild with excitement. We see God's Knights including Garling, Young Summers, and Gunko with long hair. There's also that girl from the Mamire family with the rifle that we saw in Kuma's flashback, and she's sitting right next to Gunko. The nobles are making disgusting bets like, get her for the Shepherd family and she'll be my personal slave, but Garling cuts over all of them by declaring she is my wife. It's clear this whole tournament was designed for him to win from the start. Dragon follows a trail of blood into a house where he finds the reed-haired woman Shanks and Shamrock's mother barely alive. She whispers to him, "Take my children away from this island, don't let him have them." This is the exact moment that starts Dragon on his path away from the Marines and toward becoming the revolutionary leader. In another part of the island, we see Kid Teach handcuffed in a cage with his mother. She tells him to survive no matter what happens. This perfectly explains everything we know about Blackbeard's endless hunger and his drive to take whatever he can get his hands on. The chapter ends with this earth-shattering announcement from the Master of Ceremonies. He tells all the Tenryubito that beyond the Buccaneer clan, they have another super rare rabbit that's been rediscovered after 800 years, the Davy clan. The crowd absolutely loses their minds at this revelation. And just to make things even more intense, there's no break next week, so we're getting chapter immediately. Now let me break down why this chapter is so important. The Davy D. Sebek revelation completely reframes everything about Rox as a character. He's not the monster the world government painted him as, he's a father trying to save his family. This explains why Harold threw their fight out of respect for his friend's mission. The connection to Davy D. Jones turns that old sea legend into actual bloodline history, which has massive implications for Blackbeard. Remember that childhood image of Teach crying next to a moon? Well, now we know that Garling is a moon-representing character, and he's the one organizing this tournament where Teach's childhood trauma begins. There's also this theory that's gaining a lot of traction about Dragon potentially saving baby Shanks by hiding him in one of the God Valley treasure chests, which would mirror how Roger later finds him. And if Dragon grabbed a devil fruit from those same chests, it would explain his massive power increase after leaving the Marines. Speaking of those treasure chests, we know there are 6 total at God Valley. 2 have been revealed as containing the Azure Dragon Fruit and the Pawpaw Fruit, both God-tier abilities. The other 4 are still mysteries, which sets up future revelations. This whole event was disguised as a tournament, but it was really a native hunting competition designed to capture and eliminate specific bloodlines. The real treasure isn't gold or devil fruits, it's control over the people who carry dangerous lineages like the D clan. The setup is perfect for Dragon versus Garling as the first major confrontation. Garling is hunting children, Dragon is trying to save them, and we know Dragon called the God Knights their biggest obstacle in the present timeline. There's also this interesting parallel developing between Dragon and Shanks. Both of them eventually turn against the world government after personal losses, both are connected to Luffy, and now we see Dragon potentially saving Shanks as a baby, which could explain why Shanks later saves Dragon's son Luffy. Looking ahead, I think we're about to see Dragon make his first big move against the system. Rox is going to crash this tournament to save his family, and we might finally understand what really caused God Valley to disappear from the maps. So, drop your theories in the comments. Do you think Dragon's rescue plan involves those treasure chests? What do you think the remaining 4 chests contain? And are we going to see Emu appear in Chapter 160 based on that multiples of 16 pattern? Hit that like button if this breakdown got you hyped. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter analysis, and I'll see you when Chapter 160 drops.